Hey, good morning and welcome to my podcast, Getting Started. So let's just jump right in it this morning. And yesterday when I was talking, I gave a little bit of an outline about that whole thing about getting started, right? I said there's a couple of things you want to be thinking about in anything that you do getting started. One of the things you want to do is you want to get ready, right? And then you want to get organized. And then you want to get started, right? So let me ask you a question. When you have done something in the past for the first time, or maybe it's a second or third time, and you went about to do that task, do you remember a time when you got ready to do that thing? And then do you remember when you got organized right before you started to do the thing? And then you got started and then you did the thing, right? You got started, then you got doing, then you got going, and then you got done. And pretty soon the thing, whatever it was, done. Clean the garage, clean the car, take fine. It's all about the same, right? And then remember I talked a little bit about consuming food, right? For me, the way I set my life up is that, or at least the way have chosen to live my life is there's three kinds of food that I'll consume. And this is kind of what helped me financially. If I'm eating broccoli, I tell my brain, tell my body, this is nutrition, right? I'm eating nutrition. If I eat popcorn on date night, that's kind of entertaining, right? I'm having some entertainment. And then if I'm sucking down 2 chocolate Frosties at Wendy's in one day, then I got to tell my brain that's an addiction, right? And so it sort of works the same way with your money. You ever wonder why you get stuck, right? I keep going back to this thing about getting stuck. And I can tell you that knowing clients for almost 40 years now, working with clients on every level of the socioeconomic scale, it doesn't matter if clients have a lot of money or they're just getting started or they're rebuilding. It all works the same. And this is what's so cool about what I've discovered over the last probably 5 years. The reason that we get stuck, and I alluded to this yesterday, and we get stuck financially, and it doesn't matter where you're at financially. What matters is if you've ever had the feeling that you're stuck, there's a reason why you're having that feeling. And the reason that you're having that feeling is you're not moving toward something that you really desire. So I'm going to give you a little hack today. Now, this one might be a little bit uncomfortable. So buckle up, Buttercup. If you're in this to win this and you really want to understand your relationship with money, you kind of go through the exercise and try to figure it out, right? And that's what it's all about. On a sheet of paper, the first exercise would be to write down 3 things that you want financially and try to be specific, like I'd like to have a bright yellow Lamborghini. All right, write that down, bright yellow Lamborghini. Number 2, I'd like to have $25,000 in my stock account. All right, write that down, $25,000 in my stock account. And then maybe I would like to go to Europe next summer for a vacation. All right, Europe next summer vacation. All right, so now you've got your 3 things written down and you're kind of going through every part of making sure it's specific. Good morning to the person that said good morning on the Facebook. Good morning. Cool. Now, in the next column, next to what you wrote down, this is where it gets a little uncomfortable. I mean, I'm going to tell you, when I did this the first time, I think I got pissed, right? I think I was like pissed off at me or somebody. I don't know who I was pissed. I felt pissed. You ever feel pissed? I don't like that feeling. I think what it was like a stick in the head moment. You ever had that moment where you get, bam, I got it. Okay. And then I didn't want to get it because now I got to like think about it. Right. And so I had one of those moments. They call them epiphanies. I call them stick in the head moments. Right. Because you're like getting it now. In the next column, next to each thing that you wrote down, this really burned me. I mean, it really got to me. I want you to write down, why don't you have it? Why don't you have the yellow Lamborghini? Why don't you have the $25,000 stock account? And why don't you have the trip to Europe next summer? And the contrast, and here's the point of this exercise, because it's really powerful. And I'm going to tie this together tomorrow on the podcast. And then whatever crappy feeling you're having right now when you write down why you don't have it, it will go away tomorrow, trust me. But I want you to stay with it at least a day. And the reason I want you to stay with it is because it'll start niggling in the back of your mind. And you'll start thinking, why don't I have that Lamborghini? Why don't I have that $25,000 stock account, right? And here's the thing, and it's a little bit of a secret. It's not that you don't have it. It's how you framed having it, right? And I know that might not make sense right now, but trust me, it will tomorrow. What we do, and we get into these patterns, especially with our money. And I've seen this with people that are extremely wealthy. And I've seen this with people like back in the day when I was like this, I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. You ever have a time in your life where you didn't have 2 nickels, right? And I don't mean like you're a little kid going to the store or whatever. I mean, like, you're starting out or maybe restarting or whatever. And you have that wall that you hit in life. I mean, I hit that wall, right? Or the wall hit me. I don't know. Somebody hit somebody and I was on the ground. I knew that. And it took me a little over 4 years to just kind of get out of the funk, right? You ever have that time where you're just like, man, I got to shake this off, right? What this is and why it works with money different than other aspects of your life. It doesn't work the same way with your relationships. It doesn't work the same way with your health. It doesn't work the same way with your spirituality. All those different 14 or 15 aspects of being human, right? The financial aspects are kind of different. And the reason that they're kind of different is, and I've read some studies on this, I sort of conclude that these studies have got some valid points. The brain doesn't like money, doesn't like thinking about money, doesn't like thinking about numbers, right? There are some exceptions to every rule. I'm not trying to, broad brush everything. And there's always an exception to a rule, especially in tax law. And the cool thing about this hack is, one of the things I want is a $25,000 stock account. Okay, we put that on the list. Why don't I have my $25,000 stock account? Now, here's the thing. Whatever you write down for the reason that you don't have it, right? I want you to ask, and just write the first thing. Don't overthink this. This is what I used to. I would just overthink shit for like weeks, right? And then I'd get stuck again. I was stuck being stuck, right? And so don't overthink it. Just write down the first thing that pops in your mind, right? Why don't I have my $25,000? Because I wrote it down. It's what I want. Yeah, I really want it. And it's 25,000. That's the number that I want. 50. Well, no, I'll start with 25. Okay. Now, why don't I have it? Whatever you write down is going to be a key. What's it going to be? It's going to be a key. It's going to give you a key to unlock the first step of getting started. And that's what this whole thing going into next month in March. I think we've got 11 or 12 people already signed up. Awesome. Let's get 11 or 12 more. Go tell all your friends. They need this help too. And we're going to go through this. And this key is going to unlock what I call one of the great mysteries of life. Why in the hell do I get stuck financially and I run out of money before I run out of month, right? And we've all been there, right? Or I can't make a decision about whether to buy the blue or the red, right? You ever do that? or I can't make a decision whether to go forward or to go backward and start over. Or it's just like you never can start over. It's not practical, right? Whatever the reason that you write down why you don't have the $25,000 stock account is going to be one of two things. It's going to be an excuse, which we get into the pattern and habit of making excuses. Oh man, back in the day when I went through that, my goodness, man, I should have wrote a book, right? I should have wrote a book. It's going to be an excuse or it's going to be a reason. And there's two different distinct things that about excuses and reasons. Reason is going to tell you whether it's really a want or a desire. Excuses are going to tell you you're not clear, or that you are not focused, or that you have not engaged in the process. And what's so cool about this exercise is you can't lie to yourself. I mean, you can try, but you can't lie to yourself. You just can't. Because deep down inside, we all know what we know, right? There's a lot of shit I know. Let me ask you a question. When you go shopping at the market, let's just assume we're still back in the day when we used to go to the market and Amazon is not bringing all the shit that we order, right? Fresh milk on the porch. Man, it's just like so cool. It's as a kid when we get to do that once in a while. All right. So when you go to the market, are you a list person, a lister, or are you a shopper, right? There's one of you either go to the market with a list, right? You write it down, right? Or you go to the market and then you're just a shopper. You're just going down aisle 1 and there's bread and biscuits and peanut butter and you just, okay, I'll take one. You're one of those two predominantly. I'm a list person. If it's not on the list, I ain't buying it. I spend a good amount of time when I would do this back in the day, making a list. And I was kind of like Santa Claus. I would check it twice. I wanted to make sure I had everything on the list. And then to the extent that I would go to the market, which I don't do anymore, but when I would go to the market, I would buy the stuff on the list. And that was it. And when the list was done, I was done and I went to the checkout, and we all know how that works, right? And you ever be in the line and the person in the line is like, you're in the like the express line, right? And it says no cash, no this, right? It's just express, right? And then the person in front of you is doing the thing that the sign says not to do. Really irritating, right? So you've got your list or you don't have your list. Now, here's the thing. This tells you a little secret about your relationship with money. And it goes into one of the assessments that we're going to be doing in March for everybody that's signing up right there at the bottom of the screen. Go to that page, share this. Let's get started because I'm going to show you in March. This stuff will just absolutely blow your mind. When we put down on a list or a piece of paper what we want, I want a $25,000 balance in my stock account so I can start day trading, right? And then we write down why we don't have it, right? Whatever that reason is, the first thing that pops in your mind, write that down. And then ask yourself, is that a reason or an excuse, right? And just be honest with yourself. And whatever it is, it's a key. If it's a reason, there's a reason, then there's a key there. If it's an excuse, then I have another hack that I'll show you about, because we all do this, right? Let's just be real, right? Every once in a while, we'll say some bullshit about this or that, and we all know it's an excuse. It's just like our auto reaction, right? We got all this auto pay, auto ship, auto response, auto reaction. And so much of our life in this networked society is in autopilot that we're not engaged, right? We're just not engaged. Doesn't matter how much money you have or how much money you don't have. What matters is, Are you living the financial life you desire? And if you're not, there's a reason for that. But there's a process to unlocking this great mystery and figuring this shit out. And I can tell you, I went through it myself. I had a mentor back in the day, and I am so thankful that I actually could get up and just shake this shit off and figure this stuff out. And once I got it, I never looked back. I really started everything. I started having to look at everything through a different lens, not a better lens, not a worse. It just shit, right? Stuff happens, right? But if it keeps happening, what we discover is that there's patterns and routines. So when we're going through, for example, the little exercise, if everybody started this practice exercise, you got an envelope of any color of your choice, and every time you spend $1 or more, you put a receipt or a note in there, and at the end of the end of February, you're going to just tally them all up, and then you're going to go into March for a whole month. And that's the only thing that you do. Don't think about it. Just do the things that you do normally that you do. And I'm going to start showing you about mid-March. You're going to do a mid-month review of this, and I'm going to show you some stuff on the notes. It's better if you have a receipt. And the reason it's cool to have the receipt is it has the date and time, right? That's a real cool clue, so pay attention. If you write down a reason why you don't have the $25,000 stock account, that's a key. And it's an important key because it's going to help you unlock this mystery about why we get, why I get, why you get, why we all get stuck financially. We all get stuck for the same reasons. And there's a handful of about 4 reasons. How many reasons? 4. There's generally 4 reasons why we get stuck financially. And depending upon who it is and which reason it is, then we can go about figuring out how to not ever be stuck again. Now, here's where it gets a little bit complicated. Let's say that you are married and you have a spouse or a significant other, and you're not married, but you're still a significant other. You're cohabitating and you're sharing this and sharing that, or maybe not. I don't know. Whatever your arrangement is, it is. You can have one reason that is completely opposite of the other reason of your spouse or significant other. That was like John and Mrs. John, right? Deborah, right? Remember John? The I still can't help cracking up. I mean, just 2 Frosties, dude. I mean, God, serious. All right. So they had this pattern, right? And when we got into understanding the patterns and the routines, it's like when you go to the store. If you're a shopper, you don't take a list. You just shop. You love the shop. You just shop to your little heart's content. Listers are no better or no different. They're just people like me. We go with a list. I'm there on a mission. I'm getting my peanut butter and I'm getting my whatever I'm getting, and I'm done, and then I'm out of here, right? I'm out of here. And depending on what kind of shopper you are, depending on what kind of routine you have, depending on what kind of pattern you have with your receipts, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn more in 1 month about your financial life and your relationship with your money than you've ever learned in your entire life. In fact, I think they should teach this shit in elementary school, right? And the challenge is understanding what it is that the information is telling you. That's all it's doing. It's not judging anything. It's not saying, oh, you're a bad person or you're a good person, or no. That's all emotion crap, right? It's just telling you a story. And the cool thing about receipts and the cool thing about routines and patterns is they tell a story. And they tell a very good and exciting story. The good and exciting story is you are discovering your financial life. You're discovering your relationship with your financial life. You're discovering your relationship with money. You're discovering your relationship with your spouse or significant other and their relationship. and it engenders the qualities of the positive emotions of empathy, understanding, maybe a little bit of compassion to understand that we adopt through mimicking, we adopt through watching, we adopt through trial and error, which is kind of like mimicking the patterns. And they're developed early in our life. The most formative of behaviors when it comes to money are developed between the age of 4 and 13 years old. For girls, it's a little, women, whatever, they're girls at that time, right? It's about 10 or 11. And it's just because different brains, develop different ways. And what happens is most of our attitudes, most of our relationship, most of how we view or interact with money and finance comes from that one period of time in our life. And what is cool is, how back in the day, maybe your auntie or your mom would say, save your money and, here's some money, but save some of your money for a rainy day, right? And then you grow up and then you're thinking, well, I saved some money and today's a rainy day, so I think I'll go to the mall, right? It's a rainy day and I'll go to the mall. Because they never told us what to do when the rainy day showed up, right? Or they never told us that we're going to have periods of our life where every day is a rainy day, right? And so what do? They gave us good advice, but they had great intentions to give us good advice, but really the advice wasn't so good because it didn't work because it didn't have the other part to it, right? And so what we did is we ended up adopting and mimicking some of those kinds of patterns. They're not good or bad. If they're not working, they're not working, right? So what this exercise and this little hack is going to do, you're going to write in one column 3 things that you really want. And then next to each thing, you're going to write down why you don't have them. And then under each thing, why you don't have them, you're going to write whether there's a reason why or an excuse why, and then put E for excuse and R for reason. You don't even have to write it out. Just say it in your brain and then say, no, I'm making an excuse. And it's okay if we make excuses. I mean, that's just part of being human, right? What's not okay is if we keep doing the same thing expecting a different outcome, because I think they call that being like kooky or nutty. Anyway, so do that little exercise today. Maybe go back and watch the video if you get a chance. It's going to be about about 22, 25 minutes here. And just go through it again. And I'm going to give you the second part of the hack tomorrow because I think it's the way I did this back in the day long ago is I stayed with this thing for like a week, right? And it was just like, man, it was just like bugging me. Like for a week, it bugged me. And I'm not going to do that. We're going to do it for a day. What we want to do is at the end of the day, we want to understand a couple of things. At least I think we're all on the same page here. Understanding our relationship with our money, our financial relationship, right? Understanding what kind of relationship do we have. And number 2, understanding when we get stuck financially, right? We're stuck financially. I don't know what to do. It's this or that or blah, 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 right? How do we move past being stuck, right? And that's really all that we're going to do in March. But we're going to dig in it like you cannot believe. I'm telling you, we're going to get into the exercise. We're going to get into the assessment. We're going to get into really understanding. And I'm going to share with you a few other really cool stories, a little bit more of my story. But I'm going to tell you something that at the end of the day, there is no greater feeling. And you've all felt this before, and we've all felt this before. There is no greater feeling when you know you got it wired financially and you're not getting up every day wondering how you're going to do the next thing. I definitely hate that feeling. And I've been there a couple of times, and we've all been there. What I want to do, it's not about making more money and it's not about spending less money. Those are activities. Yes, I understand. It's the core relationship, because I know a lot of clients that we've had, over the years, man, they make just a ton load of cash, right? But at the end of the year, they're always they're still upside down. They just run out of money. And it's not that they run out of money. They just have this relationship with their money and the financial life that just doesn't accumulate anything, right? Tomorrow, I'm also going to give you a couple of keywords. Now, this is where you want to maybe start getting a pad and taking notes if you're not doing that. When I give you a keyword, that's kind of a big deal. It's an important thing. It's important because it's going to have a tremendous amount of energy, emotion, and meaning for things that we're going to do and things that you'll do years from now. You'll remember these key words. So tomorrow I'm going to give you at least one key word that's going to be very important to unlocking this mystery about, our relationship and our financial life and why do we get stuck. Let's just keep it that basic and simple. All right, last point. Along the bottom, you can see jamesharnsberger.com/get started. I think John told me last night we had 11 or 12 people signed up. Yay, 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 yay. Let's get some more. Let's get as many people as we can by Friday. We've got an announcement going out. If you signed up, you'll get the first one tomorrow. The first one tomorrow. And it'll start laying out because we're going to do the orientation on Saturday, the next day, this coming Saturday. And this orientation is really important because it's our starting point, and everything that you're going to be working with, we're going to line it up on that day. This is going to be an exciting adventure, and I'm in it to win it with you, but it's like we're going to do this for the entire month of March, and I'm going to guarantee you will never see your financial life the same way. You will never see your money the same way. And you will never say, oh, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. No, after March, that is gone. You will have a new way of living financially. And that will really be where we launch a whole host of different things that we can start looking at from a different point of view. That is the coolest part of this whole process, is the fact that you get to just every day have a fresh slate, and every day decide and carve out the financial life that you desire. Man, if we don't have financial security and we don't have that sense and feeling of financial well-being, I'm telling you, I don't give a shit how freaking happy you are. You're wound up, right? Like a French drum, right? And we don't want to live like that. We choose not to live like that, but we need a little bit of guidance and we need a few tools. So that's the cool part about doing this, and showing you how this works is just a lot of fun, and hope you're having a lot of fun and getting a lot out of it. All right, hit me back a text, or if you need anything, just write me and let me, if you need something, say something, right? Raise your hand, send me an email. I can't read minds. I can do a lot of shit, but I can't read minds. Can't even read my mind. And don't be afraid to ask. If you need help, if you need to get on a call, you need a worksheet, you need me to look at something, whatever. That's why we're here, to help you take the next step so you're not stuck. Have an awesome day. Go have some fun and do the exercise. And yes, you will feel a little uncomfortable, but suck it up. We'll get through it. And tomorrow you'll feel a lot better. All right. Have an awesome day. Take care.